I am your host, Carrie, giving us different perspectives on where we are and where we want to go on our journey. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to spending some time with you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another session of the FoundHer Series with our Lighthouse Project authors. Today, I have Kimm Hutton joining us. And Kimm, I loved your chapter. I mean, I've loved everybody's chapter. So, but this one I just finished reading. I had to get the Kleenex as I was reading it. It's called Becoming Elite. Kimm, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here.
Well, good morning, Carrie, and thank you so very much for having me on your show. Excited to be here.
Yes, I'm excited to dive into your chapter, not totally into your chapter, because we want people to pick up the book and join us at the summit in Calgary. But I love how you started it off. I want to talk about that first sentence because I think it's a really good indicator of your relationship in your family. Like, it was just a fun kind of, you started off by saying, I'm thinking of getting a tattoo. And for me, I'm like, oh, cool. But for you, that was a little kind of inside joke that you've had with your family. Can you just give me just a tiny little bit of what that meant to you? And then we'll go into what that meant in the book for you, or in the chapter.
Well, certainly. So with our family, of course, we have adult children and they're plus ones, but we also have some littles now. So you know how the friendly family banter can go back and forth when you're all together. So we had to come up with a code word. We had to come up with a squirrel moment to, if the conversation was getting a little too spicy, so that everybody knew immediately that we just had to, change the direction. And that was always the segue is, I think I'm going to get a tattoo.
I love that. Like, I'm using that in some way, shape, or form. I love the idea of just having that sentence that kind of stops everybody. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then we move on. That came back in your chapter, but we'll get to that. But it was such a great way to start it off, because it showed like I said, the relationship openness you have within your family, which you really had to draw on in the experience that you went through. So can you give us just a little bit of an idea? I know that you have 40 years in emergency nursing, and you came up with one of the biggest fights of your life not that long ago. So do you want to give us just a little bit of insight into what the chapter is, what you dove into in the chapter, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. So we'll start there.
Excellent. Well, thank you again. So with all my experience as a nurse, and of course, this was kind of year 2 of COVID. And, it's minus 35 in the kitchen with my daughter, having coffee. And I was on hold to make an appointment for your routine mammogram. Mm-hmm. I almost hung up because I'm like, I hate being on ignore. And she's like, really? What are we doing? We're enjoying our conversation, having coffee. Thank goodness. Mm-hmm. So I went from having a routine mammogram, probably more out of, not out of need, just out of, required, to ending up needing surgery. Mm-hmm. And that was probably the fastest 6 weeks of my life. Mm-hmm. And it was, it was intense. It was really intense. Yeah. And I had I've always done maternity nursing, occupational health nursing, emergency nursing was huge in my career. I didn't have any experience with oncology aside from, maybe looking after patients in an emergent situation. Mm-hmm. And I was baffled. I just didn't know. I was so afraid of the unknown because I just didn't know.
Yeah. And that's where, the fear comes in the unknown, right? Yeah. I have got like 2 pages of notes from your chapter. I really respected the fact that you touched on a lot of different um, things that came out of you dealing with this. So one of them, which I've never really heard people talk about before, which I really respected that you brought this up, was the guilt you felt after your diagnosis. Um, and I believe that probably happens more than we realize,
Mhm.
but a lot of women don't want to admit that, the guilt that they had of what we did to our bodies. Did
Right.
I do this? Did I deserve this? You know, I wish I could go back and change that. Like you touched on that. And can you tell me why you did that? Why you chose to put that part in?
It was very real. It was very real to me. And again, a little bit of nursing. I had smoked for well over 20 years.
Yeah.
Every position that I held in nursing, I did primarily night shift because it was easier with a family.
Yeah.
And then the bioidentical hormone replacement therapy that I had enjoyed,
Hmm.
for over 10 years.
Yeah.
I mean, all three of them can be contributing factors. None of them were
Hmm.
my contributing factor because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
But that was my guilt as a wife, as a
Hmm.
mother, as a grandmother. I'm like, what have I done?
Right.
Because you never know until you get a diagnosis
Hmm.
like that. And I had
Hmm.
never shared any of that with my family
Hmm.
until I wrote my chapter. And after my last edit, I kind of gave them all a little sneak peek. And that was one of the things that they all came back and said was, I can't believe you felt guilty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't believe that your guilt was so strong during
Yeah.
that whole time.
Yeah. And you do such a great job of that, of just recognizing that, like that awareness piece for you was real.
Hmm.
And it doesn't make it right or true. It doesn't matter. It was just
No.
real. That's what you experienced. So I just I thank you for putting that in there because I think it's something that when the light gets shone on it, more people are going to be able to talk about that.
Hmm.
And that's really what my whole mission is in doing these books, is that it starts conversations.
Hmm.
And one piece like that, the guilt that we feel when we're diagnosed with something, is real.
Hmm.
And to get it out, and now it's out there and you don't have to think about it anymore, and your family knows that's what
Hmm.
you were feeling. It gives them more insight into your journey, which, like you talked about in your chapter, is your journey, yes, involved a lot of people, and your family was huge supporters. You had friends, but
Yes,
it was really your fight, the
that's right.
internal fight. So you can bring that in, but in the end, it was up to you.
Well, and it was amazing um, in spending time alone because I mean,
Hmm.
there were certain times that I was alone. I didn't have anybody around me. And especially being at the lake, having the patio door open, I could hear
Hmm.
my friends and family around the campfire laughing, joking. And that really warmed my heart because that was the
Hmm.
whole intent of us
Yeah.
having our lake lot. But I was the one sitting upstairs by myself with my own thoughts,
Yeah.
my own feelings, my own guilt. So when the world went quiet and I was sitting there by myself, I was the one that had to answer to those questions, deal with those feelings. And I'd never had to do that before in such a
Hmm.
real and raw way.
Hmm.
And I never ever thought, I never felt that I was going to pass away from this diagnosis, from
Yeah.
this illness. I never did because I was going to fight with
Yeah.
everything that I had
Yes.
because I had so much to fight for.
Hmm.
But it was those quiet moments when the world went quiet and
Hmm.
I was sitting there by myself that it became very, very real.
Real. Yeah. Yeah. And it's not something you can run away from because,
No,
like the book, wherever you go, there you are.
that's
We
right.
can try and run away from ourselves as much as we can, but we're always
That's
right
right.
back there. Yeah.
Yes.
You also talked to you wrote a little bit about when you brought your family together, your kids.
Hmm.
Um, and I just love the words you used to describe them. So your oldest son, you used the cheerleader. Your
Yes.
your second son, is
Hmm.
he your middle child?
Yes.
Okay. And he's your protector.
Yes.
And then your daughter, who is your youngest, was your best
Yes.
friend. And of
Yeah.
course, your husband is included in he probably is every one of those as well, all
Exactly.
wrapped
Yeah.
up into one by the sounds of it.
Hmm.
So it was sweet, and it was nice to have that little bit of that. We just got to know your family a little bit more, and I love it when when people are writing in their chapter and they give us just a little glimpse, because it's, I mean, for me, maybe it's because I have three children, and I always think of what they would
Hmm.
do and how they would react in certain situations, and I had an experience with that, and I got to see how they reacted, and it was just so beautiful to see, because they all reacted in their own way. They weren't
Hmm.
trying to react in a way that they thought I needed. They just were real, and they just,
Exactly.
and so that experience really was powerful for me to read that. And when I think of these chapters and the people that are involved, I just think what a gift that was, that they gave you, and now you're giving them in return by kind of
Hmm.
honoring them in that space. And it's
Hmm.
in a book, it's in writing that will be here
Hmm.
forever,
That's
and
right.
passed down. And I just think, oh, what a gift you've given your family, for them to see a little bit more of you inside of in your heart and your mind, and what you were going through. So
Right.
I love that little snippet in there. So
Well,
good job
thank,
on that.
thank you.
Okay, now the other piece that I know, and I'm really bad because I probably give away way too much of these
No, that's
chapters,
okay. That's
but
okay.
so you talked a bit about, and it probably resonated with me a lot because I practice this as much as I possibly can, and that was gratitude. And you wrote about the morning that you went into surgery, and you were scared, of course. I mean,
Hmm.
but you had so much gratitude in your heart for the team
Hmm.
that you surrounded yourself with, and who was going to be doing the surgery. Can you
Hmm.
just give me a little bit more so
I
that
can.
the listeners can hear it from you and not me?
It was very interesting because in my kind of in my extended healthcare world, blue hearts, blue ribbons, that, is really important. And I didn't really expand a lot on that. But after telling friends and family, and I had the date, the morning that I woke up, and it was a beautiful April morning, and the birds were singing outside. And I got up, and at the end of my laneway was two beautiful rose bushes draped in blue ribbons.
Mm,
And that just, melted my heart. And then as I went through the whole process of, going from one institute to another through my journey, it was like the word was out.
mm,
As a
mhm,
nurse, it doesn't come with a lot of perks, but it comes with a family. My
mhm,
family had stepped up on those occasions. So when I ended up in the OR, and they're going through everything, and the hustle and the bustle and the bright lights, and I was terrified.
mm,
I have never been on that end of healthcare. I've always
mhm,
been the one standing beside the table. So
mhm, mhm,
when the anesthetist said to me, do you have any questions? Do you want to say anything? I really felt that I needed to thank the staff for actually showing up that day. I
mhm,
could not do this without them.
mhm,
And I knew I was going to be asleep when I left the room. I couldn't share how I felt.
mhm,
You know, I I was hoping that my gratitude would kind of stifle the fear that I was feeling.
mhm, mhm,
And in the back of my mind, even though I didn't verbalize it, I had to trust everybody in that room the way they would trust me when they
mhm,
came to my emergency.
mhm,
Because in healthcare, you typically meet everybody on the worst day of their lives.
mm.
And I thought, I know how people look at me when they come into my emergency. And I was trying to look at that staff, and I was so very grateful. What I didn't expect was for the room to go totally silent. And then the anesthetist just kind of looked at me and nodded his head, and I was asleep.
It was like, oh, like that. I know that was another part of when I had tears, because I just, again, you're in that profession of caring for people, taking care of people. You're not on the other end of receiving that very often.
No.
And you found yourself in that position. And still in that moment, you cared for the people in that room. And I love that you voiced it, because I think that's what happens is sometimes we have those thoughts, but those
Hmm.
people never know because we never voice it. So
Right.
a gift again, you gave those people in that room, I imagine, because
Hmm.
I can't imagine that happens very often when people are in there and that's how before they go to sleep, those are the last words that that whole team heard. It's just again such a beautiful gift you gave them and a reflection that we get to see in you. That gratitude really, to me, gratitude is everything.
Hmm.
It's, I can't imagine living in a world without gratitude. And so you putting that in your chapter again highlights that and how important that is. And to give it as well as receive it. So you did that. So just you just did such a beautiful job. I'm so proud of you, Kimm. I'm just so proud of you. Um,
Well, thank you, because it wasn't really my intent for it to be that special moment. I
mhm,
just really felt that I needed to just say thank you,
yeah,
because I couldn't do that
yeah,
morning on my own.
yeah.
So,
Okay, now there's one I want to make sure that we touch on this one before we wrap up, because this is part of the title of your book, Becoming Elite. And that word elite is just like you've just given me like a new lease on that word. I love it. I think we need to use it more because that is how. So you went down your road of you had the surgery and then you came out and you ended up not needing chemo, but you did radiation.
yes.
So
Hmm.
you tell me then, you kind of deep dove into how you can help your body,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So can you give me a little bit about that and just tell me a snippet about where that led you to and who that led you to?
Certainly. So, needing a little bit of control over my situation once I realized that it was an estrogen sensitive carcinoma, then I just dove down that. I
Mhm,
was reading, researching everything about diet, exercise, and I knew I had a mountain to climb. And I knew I couldn't do it on my own. But I had to defy those odds. I was young and healthy, and I wanted to continue
mhm.
being that way.
Yeah.
So my sons introduced me to a trainer, and Braden was probably the biggest light that ever came into my life during that time. And he didn't treat me as a patient. He didn't treat me as an older woman
Mhm,
having gone through surgery,
mhm.
needing chemotherapy. He treated me like one of his athletes,
Mhm.
one of his elite athletes.
Yes, yes.
And he held me accountable for my meal plans. He held me accountable for my stretching and my range of motion. And he was amazing. And I really felt at the end of it, not that I was ever going to be one of his elite athletes, but I
Mhm.
was elite in my very own way,
Yes.
because truly, without Braden's help, I don't know if I would have come out on the other side in the place that I did.
Mhm. And what a tribute to him.
Hmm.
To him, sorry. I mean, he was a young guy
Yes.
and he wasn't used to probably working with women like you.
No, no.
And he just treated you like a person.
Exactly. I was another person. I was an athlete. He expected me to um, you know, do my check-ins.
Right.
There were certain requirements that had to be done. He looked into all my medications and, we can mitigate it by this, by that. And I wasn't getting that from healthcare. I didn't really know the questions to ask, but as well, he had that knowledge, and he's like, I've never done anything like this before, but
Mhm.
together we can make this happen, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful that we did.
Yeah. I love that part of the story. It was like, look, I haven't experienced this before either. So let's figure it out together. And he was right
Mhm.
beside you.
Yes.
And like you said, he held you accountable. Like it wasn't,
Mhm.
oh, well, we'll just, she's gone through a lot. No, this is what you need to do.
Mhm.
And this is when you need to do it by. And you need to check in and make sure it was done.
Yes.
Like I just
Yes.
love, and that was the I just feel like your chapter helps us or reminds us that the people come into our lives when we
Mhm.
need them.
Exactly.
And he was there and it's exactly what you needed.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I just think it's such a great reminder of that.
Mhm.
You had a lot of trust, it sounds like, in the people
Mhm.
around you. And you had to. You had to give
I
up that
did.
control
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
trust what you were facing ahead of you. And these people just kept coming in, kept
Yeah.
coming in, and there you are.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I absolutely love it. Okay. Now, because I have to wrap this up, even though I don't want to, because I could keep going. But there was a couple things that I will end it with that you wrote in your book. So somewhere between exhaustion and determination, I found myself again. And that was the roller coaster, wasn't it?
Mhm. It was. That was a roller coaster.
But you were the center of it,
Mhm.
and you
Mhm.
were not going to you never gave up. I mean, it was a fight from the very beginning that you knew you were going to conquer.
Mhm.
And then the last line that I loved, and it's really a permission slip for all of us, is you learned it was not wrong to want to be your own hero. I am never going to forget that it's okay for us to want that.
Mhm.
And it's okay for us to be that. And so that I just thank you so much. I got a lot out of your chapter that I will take away. And and that's why I want everybody to get the book because all of these chapters has something for somebody. I mean, I've not gone
Yeah.
through what you've gone through, but I still got so much out of your chapter that I can take away and use and remind myself on some of those days where whatever it is we all go through. But that I can be that for myself. And you
Mhm.
showed us that, and you continue to show us that, and you're embodying what that means. And I just want to thank you so much for that, Kimm.
Well, I appreciate it, Carrie, and thank you. And just to kind of leave, with a little bit of thought is I had done the breast cancer walk for probably over 5 years, a 2-day walk. I thought I was helping the cause. I was walking for the people that might not be able to walk. I never thought that one day I would be the fight
Mhm.
that I had walked for. So, in saying that, almost as dealing with my guilt, I had to realize that at the end of the day, it was my fight and my fight alone.
Yeah.
And it was okay. It was okay to be my own hero
Mhm.
because between the fight and being a hero, I'm here today
Yes.
and so happy to be here
Yeah.
today.
Yes. And we are all so happy. I think you've got a lot of people that are happy that you're here, and you are making a difference. You're really making a difference in other people's lives. Um, so there's a reason for that. And I believe that you're going to continue doing that. And there's going to be a ripple effect from your story and your courage to share it. And
Mhm.
I am just thrilled and honored to have you in the book. So thank you very, very much. And we will see you in person at the summit.
Yes,
So
yes.
anybody has questions to get your ticket and come in and talk to Kimm at the summit. You'll be on the panel, so there'll be
Yes.
time for questions. And then in between, like we're all mixed in with everybody. It's not like all the speakers and panel are off to the side. We're sitting with everybody, so those conversations can happen the entire day. So I thank you so much for being a part of this, and I can't wait to see you at the summit, Kimm.
Well, Carrie, thank you for the opportunity. I know it was a long road for the two of us. I really appreciate the opportunity to be in the third
Mhm.
series of the Lighthouse, and I'm so looking forward to the summit. And
Good.
everybody just needs to come out, attend. It's going
Yes.
to be one of the most incredible days
Yeah.
ever. Thank
Yeah.
you.
I believe that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And hopefully, we will see you in person soon. And if you can't join us at the summit, the book is going to be available April 11th, and you can get that through Amazon for now, but we'll be getting it into chapters soon. It's available in some chapters. So, yes, thank you, everybody. And we will see you on the next episode. Bye for now.